Okay, first episode, all things boxing. Let's jump straight in. Going back a few months, AJ Usyk, thoughts on the fight? Break down the fight for me. They obviously got a rematch coming up. What's your thoughts?
To be honest with you, bro, I found AJ's performance quite baffling.
Mm-hmm.
They obviously got the game plan wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there's a lot. As much as like I've got the utmost respect for AJ, I like the guy. He's done so much for the British scene in terms of boxing and what he's done outside the ring, and how he's managed to use his opportunity to maximize his financial gain, everything.
Mm-hmm.
Also, can't ignore his achievements.
Mm-hmm.
But he's just, the last few years, he just has never looked comfortable. He's never looked comfortable, and I don't know if
When you say comfortable, what, like in terms of getting hit, or
I mean, when
you mean in the ring, yeah?
Yeah, in the ring. Like when he's in there, I mean, you look at it, his recent fights. Obviously, the last one he lost to Usyk. Usyk had him on the ropes from the first round, literally. Like he was troubling him from the first round.
Yeah.
Then you're going back, sort of looking at the Ruiz loss, was shambles.
So you mean since the Ruiz loss?
I think.
You think prior?
I think since Dylan Whyte, we've seen severe vulnerability.
In terms of his, yeah.
Just he's looked very.
You know what? I gotta say, since the first loss against that was his first loss, right? Against Ruiz, I just feel like he's afraid to get hit.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I think, because I think that, who did he fight? Because even in the rematch, he got rocked a couple times in Saudi against Ruiz. But then the main time I saw it was with Pulev. When he knocked down Pulev in the third round, the old AJ would have jumped on him and got rid of him. But it's like he don't trust his chin, and it's like he don't trust his, I don't know, he don't trust his engine. But But back to the Usyk fight. Going into the fight, who did you have winning and why?
We spoke about it a bit before. The only question I had with regards to Usyk's ability to win the fight was, could he cope with AJ's physical, AJ imposing himself physically on him?
Yeah.
Could he take AJ's shots?
But AJ didn't impose himself on him.
AJ didn't impose himself on him. Anything else was a foregone conclusion. Usyk would win the fight in 12 rounds or even stop him.
Yeah, he nearly stopped him.
If the fight
AJ was exhausted, and I don't think he was exhausted from even getting hit. I just think it was like the chess game that Usyk put on him. You know,
Tony Bellew said it. Bellew said when he was in there, he was just exhausted purely from
just the thinking,
to mentally cope with what
was going on.
What was going on in the ring.
So go on, yeah.
They obviously got the game plan wrong. There was a few rumors about him not listening to his corner and all this. Now, AJ strikes me as the kind of guy that's put a lot of work into the team behind him.
He would have it on lock, kind of
all
thing.
of that is nonsense. Whatever they've gone in there with has been the wrong game plan. Whatever they've been working on has been the wrong thing to work on from the start.
But you know what?
Like you said, if you can't trust your ability to protect yourself when you're trying to stick it on someone, then you're going to have a problem anyway. Because I don't think he would win that fight either against Usyk. And if he goes and does that in the
rematch, you mean?
The improvements that he will have to make in terms of being able to it will just turn.
But this is the thing: are they improvements though, or is it a kind of turning back of the clock and going back to maybe the AJ we saw against Dylan Whyte? Not as reckless, but more aggressive. Because you know what? In AJ's defense, I got to say this: even before the Usyk fight was on the card, I've seen was on the cards. I've seen AJ kind of show a desire to improve his boxing skill. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I think, and he's right, like you got to have skill, you got to have defense. I get it, and that's the sport we're in. But I think, like you said, I guess it was just the wrong game plan that night.
I think, I mean, just going back to the Dylan Whyte thing, that was a very emotionally charged fight. So that's you can kind of excuse what happened in that fight. He won it by knockout anyway, but him getting clipped and the wildness, that's like, he was very early on in his career as well. But if you look back to, for example, the Joseph Parker fight,
yes,
the first sort of 4 or 5 rounds, he was boxing Joseph. That's probably the best we've seen him box.
But Joseph was letting him box.
Joseph was
not to go off topic, but
the
he was.
referee kept splitting them up.
Yeah.
But then if you watch the 5th and 6th round, Joseph Parker sticks it on him, and again he looks very uncomfortable.
Vulnerable.
Vulnerable and very uncomfortable. And no one is going to be comfortable with someone trying to take their head off. But
this is the heavyweight champion of the world.
then you look back at people like James Toney.
James
Toney in the
different
pocket
kind of.
was at home. You know, and
Yeah.
I'm not saying he has to be James Toney. You're not going to be
Of
that
course,
for 6 months even in a year. But there's little things that he can probably do and work on to get more comfortable with himself, being more comfortable with allowing himself to just go after someone and get them out of there.
Yeah,
that was the only thing he could do in that fight.
So going into this rematch, I think it's early March next year. We've seen, I don't know if you've seen, but there's been a lot of talk of him changing trainers. He's obviously gone to America to work with Ronnie Shields, who's worked with Holyfield, Mike Tyson, some of the greats in America. Who else has he worked with? Canelo's coach, Eddie Reynoso. Do you feel any of these guys can add anything to his game? Like, is it a train? I know you're saying the game plan was wrong, but is it something that AJ can't do? Like, is it a skill and ability thing, or is it a mental mindset?
I don't think the resources that man has and the time that he has to spend on perfecting his craft, I don't think it's something he can't do. It might be something his trainer doesn't know how to coach, which is fair enough.
Which is fine. Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with. There's fighters change trainers all the time, and it's because different trainers are good at. I mean, you look, Pacquiao, not Pacquiao. Amir Khan left
Freddie Roach.
Yeah,
Freddie
Roach is
one of the best. Oh yeah.
You know,
There's
nothing wrong with that. He went to Virgil Hunter because
he similar
scenario.
Aspects,
he was, as soon as someone touched his chin, he was hitting the canvas.
Yeah.
So he needed to work on defending himself in order to. What you can't improve your chin, but you can improve your defense.
So if AJ was sitting here, and apart from asking for money, what are you saying to him? Like, if you could just say to him, look, this is my opinion on how you got to win this rematch.
I'll tell him what I've just told you. I'll say, with regards to winning the rematch.
Yeah. Because that's the immediate.
Anyone can win any fight on that day.
How does he
I think he's going to have to just gamble in there. He can't, I don't think he can, the kind of things we're talking about him improving take longer than when he comes to
No, I agree.
March.
It's in March. I agree. They take ages.
They take longer because you can't go in there thinking about it. It's got to be something that comes natural.
Somewhat drilled and natural.
It's drills, you know.
Yeah.
However, I do think he obviously has the power to
and the strength.
Get Usyk out of there and the strength to get him out of there. So it's going to be a gamble.
Yeah.
Like a lot of his other
fights.
He took a
Yeah.
gamble. And he did hit the canvas.
Yeah.
And maybe he has to be resigned to the fact that
he might.
You're going to hit the canvas if you get clipped.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. Again, there's nothing wrong with that. Fighters get hit and get up all the time.
All the time, yeah.
Tyson Fury, who I think is one of the greatest heavyweights we'll ever see. He's hit the canvas, 4 times in this trilogy with Wilder.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. If he's got an ego issue,
you know what? I don't think he has. I think, like, listening to him chat, not to go off topic, but I feel like he could have it's almost like a perfectionist issue going on. Do you know what I mean? Like,
but that's ego.
Okay. Yeah. Like,
to a degree, that's his ego. I'm not saying he's embarrassed to get knocked down.
Of course, yeah.
You have to be resigned to the fact that you got to sacrifice something in order to win the fight.
Yeah.
He's not going to win it by trying to box the man again.
Yeah.
And if anything, Usyk is only going to get better.
Obviously, I fight, but I've never been knocked down like that, knocked out like that. But I'm guessing it would create demons. Do you know what I mean? And maybe he's just still dealing with them. Okay, so go on.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say, I think the nature in which,
because I'm going back to the Ruiz one.
Yeah, the Ruiz fight probably. I mean, I don't know what went on there, because I mean that. Obviously, in the rematch, he boxed a completely different fight. But
just on that point, it shows that when he needs to be disciplined and fight to a game plan, if you're given the correct one, he can do it. Yeah, because he did it with Ruiz.
Of course.
You know, who else did he do it with? He kind of even did it with Parker, like you say. You know, for parts in the fight, he boxed to a plan. He's disciplined, so he can do it. It's just so my concern as a fighter myself was that how did he not pick up on what he needed to do during the fight? 12 rounds is a long time. And I don't know what was being said in the corner, but you can obviously see that you're down on points. You can spar 3 rounds and know.
Yeah.
I'm getting touched up here. His game plan didn't change. And that's a concern for me, because everything is about his trainers, and he's always getting a new but these guys you're naming, James Toney, like they adapt when they're in the ring. Easier said than done, but at that level, that's what he's expected to do.
Yeah, but you see what you just said there about expected?
Yeah.
He's expected because of what has been built under AJ.
But he has achieved. He's an Olympic gold medalist.
And he's 100%. Arguably, he lost the Olympic gold.
Yeah.
That's
another.
People are ready to have that conversation yet. But it's like, the way I see AJ is like, and this is it's nothing really to do with him. They've built this machine, this commercial machine, where it's like, he's being viewed as someone a whole heap better than who they are. He's still relatively young in his boxing career. If you're going to compare him to some of the greats,
he hasn't been doing.
Started boxing quite late.
In his defense,
he didn't have that many amateur fights. He's still only 30 something years old, so he could arguably. Yeah,
he's got time.
Be at his best
yeah. Okay.
What I was going to say is, in terms of him being expected to do something, it's like, if you're not good enough,
you
beat someone,
it's not in the locker.
And Usyk is now top 5 easy pound for pound fighters in the world. Maybe one of the best. Definitely the best cruiserweight ever.
And going off that, now that we brought, because that's what I wanted to move on. We spoke about AJ, but going into the rematch, for me, I'll break down what I saw of Usyk. That was probably one of the best performances, like on a hit and not get hit kind of vibe that I've seen.
Yeah.
In our era, apart from maybe Floyd versus Canelo, I don't think I've seen a better boxing performance. The feints, the footwork. He was never in one position. AJ was never in control of the pace or the tempo, or never had no ring generalship, even though he was holding the center of the ring. And what I think is kind of amazing about that is that's Usyk's 3rd fight at heavyweight. Yeah. So we're talking about AJ can do this and this and this, but it's like Usyk's only going to get bigger, physically stronger, and more comfortable and more experienced at the weight. Yeah. He's going to have, like, people, I guess, got to understand that you get better in fights, but you also get better in training camps. He's had a whole training camp where he's been sparring heavyweights. Now he's going to have another one. Like, it's the training camp that's going to allow him to get better, and he's going to take 10 ton of confidence. And I don't think the confidence he's going to take from that first fight, it's not going to be like, oh yeah, AJ's light work, I can go in there and touch him up. He's just going to, like, he's a mature guy. Yeah. Like, he's going to know that he can outbox him. So on that point, I don't know if there's anything that AJ can do. Like, did AJ have a bad performance, or did Usyk have a good one? Like, is it that AJ was, like, maybe AJ was trying to stick it on him at times, but it's like Usyk was just never there to be hit. Yeah. Outside of his chin, I'll say, I know we're saying that, I know I said that, he's afraid of getting hit somewhat. I just feel like he doesn't trust his engine. And that type of fight where he needs to do, I don't know, they say put it on him, use his size, use his strength, dictate the pace, be aggressive. It takes a lot out of your gas tank. And I don't think he trusts his engine. Yeah. And I don't think he's ever really trusted his engine. And I don't know if that's a training thing or a mental thing. But David Hay said it once. When you get to that kind of level, it's hard to kind of have that kind of sparring. Like, you employ sparring partners that you kind of know are comfortable, or you can manage them. So no one's really pushing him the way that Usyk is. But going into the rematch, to summarize on that one, I don't think there's anything AJ can do to beat Usyk. I think he can implement things to put in a better performance and make it closer. But Usyk never looked tired. He never really looked like he was out of 3rd gear. I didn't really see Usyk. And Usyk's, it's not like Usyk hasn't got a chin and he's not durable. We've seen him in there with killers at cruiserweight. Absolute killers.
Joyce in the amateur.
Exactly. And that was at heavyweight. So I don't even know, like, if it's a thing of, AJ just needs to land one punch. I don't agree with that.
That's yet to be proven, though. But this is what I'm saying with regards to his chances going into that rematch.
Yeah.
It might just be a puncher's chance.
Yeah. I mean, that can always happen. Yeah. That can happen in anything.
And that might be what he has to go after. Because, like you said, I don't think he can improve on the things he needs to improve on.
Yeah.
Usyk is one of the greats. And like you said, as much as we talk about what AJ might have done wrong, Usyk boxed almost the perfect fight.
And Usyk didn't even and this is the thing, everyone in the media, and I understand AJ's from England and we're based in the UK, but it's like no one is really assessing Usyk's performance. Like no one has interviewed Usyk to say, how did you think you done?
Yeah.
Because he could turn around and say, you know what, I give myself a 4 out of 10. I was too cautious.
Yeah.
We don't even know what else Usyk has got in the locker. I feel like Usyk might come out and try and get a stoppage. Because they was telling him in the corner, don't try and stop him towards the end of the fight. I feel like he might try and get a stoppage, but like a late stoppage. I feel like he's going to be disciplined. And this whole AJ, I know they've got time somewhat, but like you said, moving around and picking different trainers' brains, I think that's counterproductive. Yeah. You're going to go into the fight with one guy in your corner, but then all those voices in your head thinking like, oh, let me try and implement this that this man showed me in America, or this guy. You know, so I don't know. If he loses, where does he go? I mean, we can always fight because it's AJ, but where does he go?
I refuse to you can't write the man off. He's got time on his side in terms of his age. I think he goes where he wants to go. I think the Fury fight will always be there. I think the Dillian Whyte fight is always going to be a big fight. Obviously, Dillian Whyte has his own agenda.
Yes.
But let's just say, for argument's sake, Dillian Whyte fights Fury and loses, and AJ loses his next fight. That's
them two can dance.
Still a very big fight. We've seen with Chisora, you can have big fights without anything being on the line, and AJ's going to have to be resigned to the fact that someone might not give him a world title shot, especially if Fury's got the belts. He might not get a world title shot for a while.
But if you're AJ and you've been selling out stadiums, I mean, we don't have to imagine that me or you were AJ because we know his character somewhat, but he's going to be the B-side.
Yeah.
If he loses this against Usyk, he's going to be the B-side. So when Fury's saying to him, okay, cool, we can fight, but it's going to be 70-30, what does he say? He's going to have to, like, if Wilder, another one.
To be honest, and we'll never know for sure.
Yeah.
Neither of us are good. Like, we don't know AJ.
Yeah.
But I think the man has shown enough humility in the limelight for him to have the hunger to go and chase those fights and be the B-side.
Yeah.
And do that for another couple years before he gets his chance.
But when I'm saying where does he go, it's like AJ's not as much as Wilder, but he's still going to be a dangerous fighter. Tyson Fury might really want it on his own terms. Wilder might really want it on his own terms. Like, no one's going to pick him as a mandatory fight.
Yeah, of course.
You know, so they might really like...
It's going to be a question of time.
Yeah.
And he will still hit certain numbers. Yeah. For sure. If Chisora's making
money, AJ,
and
he's got a massive following, isn't he?
Chisora's been one of the most sort of financially successful fighters outside of... that hasn't won a world title. So AJ, he's not going to lose that massive draw overnight. He will lose a bit of his draw.
Yeah.
But he will still be a draw. And these guys might have to still fight him.
Yeah.
They might have, if they want to get paid, they might, regardless of who's taking 70-30, whatever, they might still have to fight him to get paid. Yeah. Because without him, they might not be.
Yeah, no one is really, fight.
So he might be lucky in that sense where he can afford to take another loss to Usyk. Because in terms of like his undisputed trail, that will kill it for a while.
Yeah.
Unless Tyson Fury goes and beats Usyk.
But he'll get another shot. But is it that simple? And again, we might not know this, but in terms of, like, we spoke about trauma or fear when you get knocked out or when you lose. It's like, if he loses twice in a row, we saw a different character, different person, but we saw with Mike Tyson when he lost to Buster Douglas, you lose your invincibility.
Yeah.
George Foreman lost to Muhammad Ali. He lost his invincibility. AJ's kind of already lost that. And you're right. I think his character, his strength of character shows that he's willing to come back. But he would have lost one against Andy Ruiz, kind of got scored against Usyk, then loses against Usyk again.
But see, I don't...
Is that going to affect him as a fighter? Do you know what I mean? Forget his fan base.
The thing is with me, with Mike Tyson, I think...
Different character, different style.
Character, but he was invincible. In his mind, he probably was invincible as well. Whereas I think AJ's invincibility has been something that has been built by external,
even people like us, fans.
Hearn,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. Sky
that's
promoters.
just the business.
Yeah.
But I don't think AJ
in himself.
I don't think he feeds into it.
I would agree with that.
Because if he did, we'd see a different person in the limelight.
I would agree with
that.
I mean, I would agree with that.
I think he, to a degree, is aware of where he's at, in terms of where he kind of ranks.
Yeah.
Because you put AJ in another era, and there's no AJ to a certain extent. You know, there's certain heavyweights that aren't even spoken about that would have wiped the floor with it. With all due respect to AJ, it's the truth. In my opinion.
Ray Mercer.
Yeah,
these kind of guys. Larry Holmes.
So I think AJ will be aware of that. I don't see how you can't be.
But one thing that bothers me, Josh, is, sorry to cut you, is every time he loses or every time something happens, it's these extreme actions. You know, he lost to Ruiz. He literally lost how much muscle and how much size to go and box a completely different fight. Got additional trainers. Now he's carried them as trainers for the next maybe 4 or 5 fights. Now he's basically going through the same process. If he loses again, what's his next? How's he gonna?
But this is the thing I find with AJ. It's like you look back at certain heavyweights, even heavyweights now. You say, what are they good at? And you know what they're good at. With AJ, you can't really, apart from being a good finisher.
He is a good finisher.
You've got to get yourself to the point of finishing a fight.
He's got good fundamentals. Nothing great. I know what you're trying to say.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you're trying to say.
And I feel like that causes maybe some dilemma in his mind, in his camp's mind on
what to do.
That dictates. Do you know what I mean? They have nothing to
work on, to work with.
Larry Holmes would have always been about the jab.
The jab, yeah.
Because he had one of the best, jabs ever.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I don't know, man.
Well, we're hoping.
This is what I find I find that the whole AJ thing is very unique in the sense where he, like I said, the external influences that have built him up to be what he is, without him really being that good.
It's just like the power.
And again, I don't say that with disrespect. It's not hate for AJ.
It's
just he isn't that. He's never. He's been
not.
That great.
And
I think we're just witnessing that now.
Yeah.
Put him in a ring with someone that is great. There's only
that
going
Usyk.
to be one winner. You know.
Okay.
Klitschko. I feel the Klitschko fight. Sorry to.
Go on.
He should have lost that fight.
Yeah.
Klitschko should have got him out.
Should have finished
it. He said it after he took his foot off the gas when he shouldn't have.
Yeah.
But AJ was out on his feet.
Yeah. We've seen the vulnerabilities, is what you're saying. Yeah.
And if he lost that Klitschko fight, and then maybe lost a rematch,
is that the David Price?
Would we be having this conversation? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So,
well, look, we hope he brings it home. I guess he deserves it. For what he's done for British boxing, and it will be good for him to win. It will to keep British boxing somewhat alive. But I just feel like if he wins, I want him to earn it. I don't want Usyk to have a bad night, or I don't want nothing, nothing like that. Yeah. I want to see that, all right, cool, you've gone away, you've addressed what was wrong, and you've made the right game plan and come back. You haven't just kind of, because again, just before we move on, in the rematch of Andy Ruiz, as much as he lost weight, got new trainers, and boxed differently, Andy Ruiz went off the rails.
Yeah.
He came back super overweight, and he's already a big guy.
Douglas kind of.
And he just it's like he didn't train, and that was well documented, and he didn't. So we don't even know. Do you know what I mean? I don't want one of those situations.
Yeah, if it was a better Andy Ruiz.
If Andy Ruiz was getting better, what would happen then? Yeah. Would he have even won? Okay, so moving on, but sticking with heavyweights. Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder. Let's go all the way back to the trilogy. Talk to me. The first fight, the second fight, the third fight. What did you think going into obviously Tyson Fury? So let me give the people a rundown. So Wilder's the highest knockout ratio in any weight class at the time. He had something silly like, at the time, I think it was 38 knockouts, 38 fights. No, it was more like 40 fights, 39 knockouts. Only person he knocked out. It was Bermane-Stiverne. Did he knock him out? Well, he didn't knock him out.
He knocked him out the second fight.
Yeah. So he had 39 fights, 38 knockouts. This surpasses anyone. Mike Tyson, George Foreman. He's a notorious puncher. I think at the time, Tyson Fury had came out of the depression that he was going through, had one warm-up fight, I'm not sure who it was against, and jumped straight into jumped straight into that fight. So yeah, talk to me about that.
Yeah, I think again with this fight, I kind of felt like off the back of what he did to Klitschko, which was 2 years before AJ fought Klitschko. Let me just throw that in there. To go in with Klitschko in Germany and not let the man land a glove on you.
Yeah.
My opinion of the Wilder fight was if Tyson Fury was able to replicate any of that performance.
Yeah, it's easy work.
Wilder wouldn't land a glove on him. Or he wouldn't earn the right to land a glove on him in the fight. The times he did land.
This is the first fight we're talking about, yeah? Okay.
The times he did land, Fury made a mistake.
Yeah.
But other than that, he just went in there and showed that he is probably one of the best heavyweights we will ever see.
Yeah.
And not enough people give him that.
Not enough. The fact that we still need AJ to win to keep British boxing alive just shows.
Yeah, I think what he did in that fight with what
the circumstances
as well.
Yeah. Because he still wasn't really in like he wasn't at his fight weight at the time.
Yeah, he was still
on his way down. He was still
coming back.
Yeah.
He was on a comeback.
Yeah.
And he went into arguably the most dangerous situation in a ring you could be in.
Yeah. And that knockdown in the last round.
That knockdown. I mean, not one heavyweight in history gets up from that shot.
Yeah. There was 2 shots, wasn't it? Really?
Yeah, and being in that condition, it's not
in
just
round 12 when you're fatigued and
the condition that shot put him in.
Yeah.
Or appeared to put him in.
Yeah.
He looked like he was done.
Yeah.
Like,
and to get up and basically semi-win the round.
Get up and then
have Wilder on the back foot.
Go and put him on the back foot.
Just amazing.
Like he just had a switch in his head that said it's time to get up.
Yeah.
I thought he won that fight.
Yeah.
I think the knockdowns.
Was you saying robbery but did you understand?
I can understand why
he got knocked down twice that fight, didn't he?
He was in America.
Yeah. He
was fighting the champion. I can understand why it was.
Just on that, him being in America, it just shows the character of him to go first to Germany. And Germany is different to America. Like if you go to Russia, no, but when I say it's different, it's like it's almost worse. If you go Russia or if you go Germany, it's hostile. You can't take your full team over there. You ain't got no fans.
Who's like boxing?
He's like in the parliament and these things there, isn't he? So, and then to do that, and it just shows that that's what we need people to do. Like going back to AJ, we've never seen AJ, fight abroad.
One time he did
as a B-side fighter though. And Fury was that. Yeah. He wasn't looking to go to Wilder to make the fight in America necessarily. So yeah, but you saw why it was a draw.
I saw why it was a draw. I think the knockdown tarnished what was a very good performance.
Yeah.
But then it just reminded us of what he was in there with.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was one of the most dramatic kind of fights I've ever seen.
Yeah. And that the first
and
one.
Also just knowing that he could get his lights put out at any time. And then it happened. And then he got up and still finished the fight. That was just like a bit of a roller coaster as well.
Yeah, we definitely need to give Fury his flowers, man.
Yeah, you have to, man.
And it is frustrating that he and other guys, but definitely him, don't get it. Second fight, I was surprised at what Fury. I know he said he was going to go in there and try and knock him out, but I don't think I've seen Fury box like that and box effectively like that. Yeah, ever
before.
And that's an example of, and this is what I'm saying. When you've got, not saying that AJ doesn't have talent or doesn't have natural ability, but when you've got that level of talent and that level of natural ability, that's what happens when you change trainers.
Yeah.
He changed trainers from his uncle, Peter Fury, to Sugar Hill, Emmanuel Stewart's nephew, and we just saw a complete what Sugar Hill was able to do with him in such a short space of time. It just shows the greatness of Sugar Hill and thus Emmanuel Stewart, but also Tyson's ability to adapt. Because I feel if Sugar Hill got his hands on AJ, he wouldn't be able to change him such, because AJ just doesn't have those same tools that Fury has. So yeah, second fight, what was it? 7th round knockout?
Yeah, something like that.
He had Wilder down a couple times.
Yeah, Wilder was a mess.
Yeah.
I don't know what was going. I don't know if Wilder just thought believed that he had won the first fight and that he would do it the same thing again. I think it showed that Wilder just can't box.
But you know,
he can't act.
But you know what? When you're surpassing records like Mike Tyson's and these guys, it's kind of like that's your game plan. Do you know what I mean? Like we said with AJ, what does AJ do well? We're not sure, but we know what Wilder does well, and everybody knows, and he knows. So I guess I stand by the fact that he was playing his cards that night, basically.
But I was happy to see Fury go in there and do what he did, because even I questioned whether, I mean, the man, the size of him, he should have power.
And heavy hands,
but
somewhat.
The way he boxes, obviously, he moves.
We're not sure.
So
you don't sit down on his punches. Yeah.
But I was happy to see him go in there and do what he said he was going to do.
Yeah.
Get Wilder out of there.
Yeah.
And he did it. He did it very impressively. He looked like he could. Like, he was comfortable.
A walk in the park.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anybody in history that could have dealt with Wilder like that.
Yeah.
Because like you say, like you can outbox Wilder, but to push him back, he's the puncher.
And completely disregard the power that Wilder had.
He had him on the inside, he had him on the outside. It was just...
I mean, I think of the 3 fights, that one was...
the most impressive.
I enjoyed watching that one because the way Fury just switched it up and just...
I think that Fury on the second fight... could potentially, speaking of like fantasy fights,
dangerous in it.
Anyone. And some of it in the other fighters' defense, the heavyweights of old were not that much bigger than the cruiserweights of today. You know, they were like 14 and a half, 15 stone. But he knows how to, and this is the thing, he knows how to use his size. So when we're talking about AJ being as big as he is or as strong as he is, or like, is he using it? Does he know how to use it? He's still trying to figure out, how do I use my length? How do I use my size? How do I use... It's like Fury knows how to use his God-given, I guess, tools. And then third fight, in fact, just on the second fight, what did you think of Wilder's excuses?
I don't... Yeah. It's all nonsense.
Yeah.
All of it.
No, agreed. Okay, well, I just wanted to bring that in there. So the third fight. And as you talk about Fury, let's talk about Wilder as well. Because I personally feel like...
better.
I got to say, Fury...
The first round, I was thinking...
Yeah. So again, let's just, for the people, he again, after the second fight, Wilder, this is changed trainer to Malik Scott, who's kind of like a boxing, what's the term?
He was a boxer, isn't it?
Yeah, he was a boxer, but I mean, I would say he's a smart boxer. He appreciates the sweet science is what I'm trying to say. And I saw a lot of improvements from the second round.
Yeah.
He was jabbing to the body, he was jabbing to the head. You could see what he was trying to do. He was feinting a little bit more. So I got to give Wilder credit again. That's what you do when you change trainers. Like that's what we should be seeing. For me, not so much a strong performance for Fury in terms of dominance. I think it was more his grit. You know, like both of their grits. You know, it was like will against will. I didn't see as much dominance in his skill, but again, he just... But getting up from that right hand that he got hit with... I just don't know how he... I mean, I've seen the slow-mo of it and it's just like... Credit to Wilder. He's moving... What's Fury? 270 pounds. He's punching a 270 pound man. And the way he vibrated his whole frame.
I personally, from what I took from that fight, especially early on before kind of Fury took control, Wilder right now is the only man that would have the tools to beat Fury if he could just... I think if he had made the changes that he made for this fight, for that third fight, in the second fight, by the time the third fight come round, because he was setting up that right hand. Yeah,
something dangerous.
And if he landed that right hand again after Fury got up, it would have been.
But that's the thing. It's like he didn't have the ability. He doesn't have the ability to land that shot like more than once in a round. And up to this point, he hasn't needed it. But with Fury, it's a shot that he would need to land more than once.
And this is why you got to be able to adapt.
100%.
Yeah. So, but no, again, Fury winning the fight. I just, you know, I'm a massive Tyson Fury fan. I just think the size of him, the way he can move, it makes him more or less unbeatable.
Yeah.
In any era.
And the engine, the engine is impressive, man.
To move that
and
way,
get up and go down, and yeah, it was.
He's basically got everything that you would need.
Yeah.
The defensive skills, the offensive skills.
Yeah.
He's shown he's got power.
And credit to Wilder, he brought it out of him.
Yeah.
Because no one, I don't think, would put that kind of fear in Fury. Not to say he's afraid of him, like intimidated, but he's very aware of what Wilder can do to him. You know, I don't think anyone else can do that.
Yeah.
And I think he needed that.
I just think, it's just not said enough. We've said it already. It's just not said. And you're going to hear me in this podcast talk about Fury a lot because I'm just incomplete. I would even have him top for what he can do. I mean, a great fighter, depending on what you want to class as great.
Yeah.
For me, Fury's greatness lies maybe not so much in it is his ability, but there are like Lomachenko is one of the best.
It's a different kind of
but
great. Yeah.
In terms of who would beat him,
like who is actually going to beat him? Who's going to beat him?
No one. And for that reason, I'd have him top 2 pound for pound.
Yeah.
Obviously, when you're talking about skill and stuff, other things come into play. But
I think when we talk about the pound for pound,
he's got the right amount of every.
He's a perfect fighter. A perfect fighter.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I just think we don't speak. It's not said enough. I don't know what that is. I don't know whether it's because of like how he conducts himself and
or the whole gypsy thing and all this stuff.
I don't know what it is, but
and that just shows the power of like what's going on in boxing. Like it's all about marketing and media and it's business.
If AJ could do what Fury could do, we'd be saying greatest fighter
ever. Yeah, we would have been saying that before he even won a world title.
Yeah.
Okay, so sticking in the heavyweight division, we've got Fury, Wilder, obviously Wilder's, I'm guessing, going to have some time out. We've got Whyte. Obviously, AJ and Usyk are still thing. There's talk of Dylan Whyte being Tyson Fury's. Is it mandatory? Yeah, he is. I'm guessing. Well, he was meant to fight the Wolin fight, but that fell through.
That's what they're saying.
So, what do you see in that fight?
I think Dylan Whyte won't get near Tyson Fury.
You know what? I'm just going to play devil's advocate. As much as I agree, I feel like it depends how, and this is why I was giving credit to Wilder. Tyson Fury had to be on his toes. So, not literally, but he had to be so cautious of Wilder that he had to fight the fight a certain way in order to have success. And that's why we see the change from going from his uncle in the first fight to the second fight with Sugar Hill and that aggressive come forward fight. Put in a puncher who can't punch going backwards on their back foot. That's why he did that. I think it depends how he fights Dylan Whyte. I think he beats Dylan Whyte and I think he beats him easy. No, I think he beats him, but I don't know if it beats him easy.
But
it just depends how Fury handles the fight. I think styles make fights.
Yeah.
And if Fury tries to rough up Dylan Whyte,
Dylan Whyte can fight though.
Dylan Whyte can fight like that. Yeah. So if he does go to meet Dylan in the middle of the ring, we've seen that Wilder doesn't even have the balance to fight inside. Dylan can punch inside. Again, he don't punch hard enough to really put a hole in Fury.
Yeah. Well,
as we've seen.
Yeah.
No one does.
Yeah.
But I do think maybe he could win rounds, and he could somewhat offset what Fury does. But I think it's more about what Fury does or how Fury approaches the fight as opposed to what Dylan can do.
Listen, Dylan's a capable heavyweight, and he's proved that. And I'm a big fan of like Dylan's journey and where. Before the AJ fight, no one knew who he was. And
he come from
he's grafted. He's fought big fights. Put himself in deep waters. The Povetkin fight we saw, he got sparked out, and then he come back and beat Povetkin.
Yeah.
And he's patiently waited for this opportunity.
Yeah.
So
he does definitely deserve it.
Be
but
in the ring with him, I just don't see
how.
With Dylan Whyte's style, I just don't see how he could. I don't see what he could do to Fury, and like you said, it will depend on what Fury turns up.
Yeah, I just think that is the only thing. But this Fury, not to contradict what I was saying, but this Fury that is with Sugar Hill, seems to be clear and have his mental health really in a nice place. Seems to be focused. I haven't seen his weight blow up in after any of his fights. It's a dangerous Tyson Fury. So if it is and he takes the fight seriously, then I think it's an easy night's work. I just think the character of Fury, sometimes he doesn't, like we see with AJ, he cares about legacy. You know, sometimes I don't even feel Tyson Fury cares about any of it.
Yeah.
You know, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he has to get up in the ring, to get out from them punches, and
you have to.
he has to. But he maybe he just doesn't show it the way that others do. But okay, so we got that fight, potentially happening. I don't know when that's meant to happen. But yeah, I'd still like to see all of them mix it in. Dylan and Wilder. Dylan Whyte versus Deontay Wilder.
So
just semi-fantasy fight, because it might not happen.
The way I see it is, if Wilder was able to land on Fury, then
if Wilder was able to land on Fury,
he's going to be able to land.
Oh yeah, I see what you're saying. And anybody else. Yeah, no, maybe not Usyk.
Maybe not Usyk.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
you think he gets rid of him?
From that point of view,
yeah.
AJ and Whyte both get KO'd by Wilder at this point.
And this is where, sorry, but this has just come up in my mind. This is where people say to fighters, like, good sparring and good fights, you know, stay active and they'll bring you on. I think Fury, what he did to Wilder in the last 2 fights, is going to bring Wilder on a lot more. Does that make sense? And we saw it in the last fight.
Yeah, 100%.
Like we saw it. Like if he goes out and he uses that jab a little bit more and he puts that jab on AJ.
Listen, if he keeps working at doing...
Yeah.
That, in that first 2 rounds of that fight,
he
was landing that jab to the body so many times. If that right hand come over the top, which it did eventually, but in a different kind of fashion, I just felt like he was going to win the fight in the first round. I felt like he was going to win the fight.
Like if this is how it's going. Yeah.
So if he can just hone in on that and improve them, I mean, he didn't. Obviously, COVID gave him a bit of time to prepare, but I think he could come back a much better fighter than
working with, if he stays with Malik Scott as well. I think that's a good connection. Sometimes a good trainer is just someone that you get along with, you know.
Yeah.
It's not always about you got to be able to bond with the guy, and they seem like, you know, brothers and they hold similar values and stuff. So that's good. Okay, so Deontay Wilder beats Whyte. Deontay Wilder beats AJ. That's still a fight you'd want to see, even if Usyk beats. Yeah. I think actually, we covered that, didn't we?
Yeah, man. I'd like to see it just to see what the outcome would be.
Yeah.
Because as much as I'm saying KO, I would like to see these guys. Going.
I don't think
AJ and Dylan Whyte are flying the flag for, and Fury.
I don't think there's anything, and you've said this the best in other words, but I don't think there's anything that AJ or Whyte can bring that Wilder hasn't seen in some aspect in Fury. Whether it's a jab, whether it's movement, whether it's power punching, whether it's roughing you up on the inside.
Was that brought out of him due to a respect for Fury? And does he go back to disrespecting Whyte and AJ, even if he's trying to go and blow them out?
Even if he does, those guys, AJ and Whyte combined, don't offer what Fury offers. You know what I mean? Even if they rough him up on the inside, it's not going to be the same as someone who's got the same kind of... AJ and Dylan don't have the same kind of gas tank. They can't put that pressure on for as long as Fury can. They don't weigh as much. Wilder's taller than both of them.
You
know, he's the bigger person in there, whereas Fury was taller than Wilder. Okay, so just last one. Which could happen for a unification. Usyk and Fury.
I don't...
It's an awkward one.
It's awkward.
It's an awkward one.
I mean, look, you can't really say the size is a thing, because we've seen David Haye beat Valuev.
Different styles, though.
Different styles, of course, but...
Because Fury can move, Valuev couldn't move.
Yeah, that's true. But again, I just think Fury would be too big for him.
Yeah, and again, knowing how to use it.
But the engine, I mean, if Usyk's going to go in there and run, like, who's going to be chasing who?
Yeah.
You know?
But Usyk is almost, I know they say in boxing size is important, but Fury is almost too big. Like Usyk is almost too small. Like it would be like he's 6'3" or 6'4". Fury's 6'8".
6'9", I think.
You know, it's just like, is Fury gonna want to weigh the same that he did for Wilder? You know, he might try and box Usyk, because if he tries to run around, you know what it is with that? It's just like, where Usyk is a southpaw, everything gets flipped on its head just a little bit.
Yeah.
So even though Fury can outbox him, he's still got to get to him and get his foot in the right place. It is a little bit. It's a little bit more awkward, but Okay.
Yeah, that would be an interesting one. I must admit, but it's one I haven't really thought about too much because I don't really want to see it.
Yeah.
For some reason,
The styles
I
of
don't want
it.
to watch it.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean.
But it'll be two very good boxers in the ring, funny enough. So
some of the best of our generation, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to something a little bit more local. In the light heavyweight division, we had Anthony Yarde versus Lyndon Arthur. It must have been in lockdown, wasn't it? The first one, yeah, because there was no crowds.
Yeah.
So
no, it was just before.
Just before.
Yeah,
before lockdown.
Yeah, it was before lockdown. It was
can't have been because there was no fans there in the first one.
No, it was 2019.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I'm sure it was anyway. It was like summer 2019.
There was definitely no fans there.
Well, it weren't lockdown yet.
Okay.
Summer 2019. Yeah.
Okay. So again, for those who don't know, both fighters, Lyndon Arthur and Anthony Yarde, are promoted by Frank Warren in Queensbury. I think it's fair to say Yarde is more the A side in terms of the promoter's favorite, BT's favorite, Frank Warren's favorite. I think to the majority of people, Yarde was also expected to win. Not on boxing ability, but just because of
what he's done,
the build up. You know, I think I'd give it to him and say he's probably, and I respect both fighters a lot, so I just got to say this. I think he's probably the more exciting fighter. You know, he's a knockout artist. He's explosive. He's that kind of athlete. But Lyndon Arthur, again, with that amateur background, you know, he's boxed all over the world. He's boxed some of the best guys in Britain.
Deceptively experienced.
Yes, a very good boxer. He came away with the decision. Firstly, there wasn't that much controversy, but do you feel like Lyndon won the fight?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, because I know some people were saying, oh, Yarde did X, Y, and Z. So just give me a breakdown of that fight. What did you see in the fight from both fighters?
I mean, I knew about Lyndon Arthur before. I didn't know much about him in terms of what he could actually do in the ring. I hadn't watched much of him before that fight, but I knew he was like ex-GB boy and whatnot. But I don't think I've seen a jab.
Yeah, that's a Larry Holmes.
Oh, wow.
That's a Larry Holmes.
The way he was flinging it out, so sharp and accurate. And it looked like Yarde almost didn't really know what to do because he weren't catching it. He couldn't catch it.
Yeah, he couldn't slip it.
And he was just getting caught with it.
And Yarde is good at slipping. I got to give that to him. He's got a good upper body movement. He's got good torso movement. But yeah, I've never really seen anyone land shots like that on Yarde.
There obviously was the thing with Lyndon's right hand. I don't know if it's ever been clarified why he wasn't throwing it.
Okay, so I think... So in the fight, in one of the rounds, Pat Barrett, which is Lyndon Arthur's manager and trainer, said to him, like, let your right hand go. Lyndon Arthur then responded, "Oh, I can't land it."
I remember
something along those lines. We don't know if he meant he can't land it because he can't throw it. Can't land it because Yarde is going to counter him, or he can't throw it because it's hurting. But he was landing the jab. Yeah, so you would think he did land a right hand or two towards the end of the fight. Obviously, Tunde was telling Yarde, "Look, we think he's hurt his right hand."
I remember now.
But at the end of the day, he won that fight.
Yeah.
And he won it on points. Yarde felt like he won the fight. Felt like he carried the fight. Somewhat, I agree with him that he did carry the fight, but he was getting out. He was getting outpointed, you know, and he was getting outboxed. It was hit and not get hit, and Arthur was winning that. And I was kind of, I do like Yarde and I do like Lyndon, but I was happy to see that Lyndon won or got given the decision just purely for the fact that, you know, he is also a Frank Warren fighter. He should be considered and should be respected by the general public, casual fans, and those in boxing as, you know, a well-renowned, you know, domestic light heavyweight. Yeah. Sometimes when we're talking about Buatsi, in years past, we've been talking about Buatsi and Yarde, and no one has said Lyndon. Yeah. You know, big up Craig. He's Craig Richards. He's been doing his thing as well. But no one has even really been mentioned Lyndon Arthur. And he's been quietly working away in Manchester and built up a really good record. And the rematch. So what are you thinking for? No, let's talk about round 12. I don't know if you can recall the fight. In round 12, Anthony Yarde kind of really pressed the fight. He brought a lot of pressure on Lyndon, and he hit Lyndon, and he hurt Lyndon with a body shot and a headshot, which Lyndon admitted to. And I feel like, for me, going into the rematch, that is their blueprint. I think that's their game plan. What do you feel? Do you feel it's going to work?
I just don't.
Do you feel we can maintain that kind of aggression without walking onto a right hand? If Lyndon's hand is better now.
Yeah, this is the thing. I just don't think if he had his right hand for the majority, well, if he was using his right hand in that fight, considering how much he landed the jab, I don't think Yarde would have been able to do that to him in the 12th round. 12th round. Yarde wouldn't have had the second win.
He can't just walk on. Yeah,
he wouldn't be able to do it. And the reason he was able to step onto him like that is because Lyndon couldn't throw both hands.
Yeah.
So I would worry for Yarde going into that rematch is do something about the jab.
Yeah,
first and foremost.
Yeah, because that's going to start off.
That sounds like something you'd want to do anyway, but it was a real problem in that fight.
Yeah.
And if the right hand was following it, you might have seen a stoppage.
Yeah. And that's
over
the thing.
The 12 rounds, you might have seen a stoppage.
Going back to the blueprint of what I feel, and I don't know what I feel they're going to try and do. The blueprint, just as much as it should be, okay, attack him like we did in round 12 and put it on him, so to speak. You also got to defend that jab, because if he... But this is the thing with Yarde. Yarde is a boxer. I know he gets knockouts and he knocks people out, but he's a boxer.
Yeah.
Like, he boxes his way and then knocks you out because he's powerful and heavy-handed. He's not so much like a Mike Tyson, who's an aggressive counter-puncher, or a Joe Frazier who just gets on your chest. So I just don't know if he's going to... Same with AJ.
Yeah.
Just because like he's not going to be able to just sit on Lyndon's chest. I do wonder, obviously, if... Go on.
I just realised.
Go on.
2019 was the Kovalev fight, not the...
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, bro.
So it was in lockdown.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you guys have seen, or I don't know if you've seen, but the press conference on the build-up for this fight, the rematch, has been very hot compared to the first one.
Yeah.
I feel like Lyndon has now... Because you know what? I got to give it to Lyndon. He was very humble after the fight. Even in his interviews, he was saying, look, I wasn't sure if I was going to get the victory. It was a close fight. And he won. And he's still admitting that. So I find that quite, like, it was very humble of him to admit that it was a close fight. Whereas Yarde and his team were kind of not saying it, but like robbery.
Yeah.
You know, like, we've been hard done by here. So I rated Lyndon for that. But I see a change in his demeanor, both towards the Yarde team and even...
They've got under his skin a little bit.
Yeah. Is that going to mess up his discipline? Like, is he going to try and knock out Yarde?
I personally don't think it will, coming from the background that he's from.
Yeah.
Boxing-wise.
Yeah.
I don't think it will.
But even it's getting to Pat.
Yeah,
Pat being his trainer and manager, I feel like Pat would want to see that as well.
I mean, it shouldn't do.
But
like you said, if sometimes emotions affect the judgment, you know. However, if we see, I mean, we can't disregard that Yarde went to Russia and almost stopped Kovalev.
Yeah.
An aging Kovalev, but
still a Kovalev.
Kovalev that was capable of beating him in the end.
For sure.
But he had him.
Yeah.
And if he can do that to Kovalev, then he can arguably do that to any of these. Any of the light heavyweights.
Yeah.
So it'll be an interesting rematch.
Who do you have?
I want to say Arthur, just because I liked what I saw in the first fight. So that's more from like a fan perspective. However, you can't write off Anthony Yarde. I mean, he's a good finisher. So if he gets you there, likelihood is if he's got enough time, he's getting you out of there. In terms of if he hurts you, he will finish you off.
Yeah.
And I think he's got a big point to prove now. He's lost twice.
You know what? Yeah.
He's lost twice. Yeah. I don't think he would have expected to lose twice by now. I think they genuinely went out to Russia, although they were getting paid well for that. They were going there to win, and they thought they'd come out of there with the win. And I think they obviously genuinely thought they were going to beat Lyndon Arthur.
You know what I say? I think sometimes my opinion of Yarde has been clouded by maybe those around him and the way he's been built up. But again, like AJ, he's a good, clean-hearted guy.
Yeah.
To go out to Russia and do what he did, you know, I got to tip my hat. and losing, I think he lost his dad and his nan during COVID.
Yeah.
And then went and fought, went and fought Lyndon Arthur. I'm not saying it affected the performance, but like I rate him, I respect him for that, and I tip my hat to him. So I want to see him do well. Yeah. I want to see all fighters do well. Like all fighters can eat at the end of the day. I feel like, just going back to the fight though, in a weird way, even though Lyndon was mainly using one hand, I feel like Anthony Yarde has more things that he can improve on.
I mean,
I don't think that Lyndon can box any other way. No, he can. He has the ability to. Don't misunderstand me. But I'm saying, if he tries to go forward to Yarde too much, I think he plays into the wrong hands. Yeah. Jab or no jab. I don't think he should smother his jab. I don't think he should be overly aggressive and play into the counter punching ability that Yarde does have.
What I saw with Yarde in that first fight is a lot of. He looked like he was just posing and trying to look like he was doing something.
Yeah,
he was trying to. Like he just looked like he didn't know what to do, and he wasn't really doing anything for like the first half of that fight.
Yeah, but that's why I give credit to, because I'm saying, listen, what I'm saying. I think you're probably saying that, bro, because you're expecting him to be super aggressive. Yarde is a boxer.
Yeah.
He's a boxer. He's a thinking fighter. And he's trying to set traps. He's trying to get close to Lyndon, but Lyndon being a little bit taller, a little bit longer, is just taking them small steps back and leaving Yarde in no man's land.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it is. And Yarde don't want to jump in and be reckless.
Yeah.
Because that's not really his style. So we'll see. I'm on the wall with it. I like both guys. I respect both guys. I'd like to see them both do well in their career. I don't know. I'd like to see Lyndon get his credit though.
You gotta give credit to the both of them.
Yeah, for even
taking
the rematch. Yeah, for sure.
I think you mentioned to me the other day there might have been a clause in there that.
Yeah, I think there was a rematch clause.
However, it's not a foregone conclusion that Yarde's going to go in there and win it. And Yarde's putting a lot on the line.
Yeah,
because he's been to world level. He's coming back down to British level.
Yeah,
and he's potentially going to take another L against another British fighter.
Yeah,
two losses in a. No, he's had a fight since, but
yeah, it'll be kind of back to back,
damaging to the path he was on.
Yeah,
not saying he won't get up there again.
For sure.
Obviously he's a young guy. He's got the time. And again, Lyndon Arthur. Credit for him going and looking for the first fight.
Yeah. True.
Because this is how you elevate your career. And you got to beat the guys in Britain before you. You know.
Just staying with light heavies. We've got a friend of mine, a sparring partner of mine, Dan Aziz, fighting. I think that's this Saturday, the 20th, against Jose Burton for the British title. In a way, I think both fighters have been overlooked quite a bit. They've both been like dark horses. Like I said, even with like everything's been Boutsi and Yarde, a little bit of Craig. Hardly anything of Dan Aziz in terms of people speaking about him, and he's a force. He is a force to be reckoned with, 100%. I think all their names deserve to be together in terms of who would win, because on their given day, they could all beat each other.
Yeah, I mean the light heavyweight division in this country, it's probably not spoken about enough in terms of how many good fighters there are.
They're all good fighters. Yeah, they're all good fighters. Who do you have? For me personally, just because. You know, we're friends. I'm in Dan Aziz's corner. I've sparred him. I'm a cruiserweight, so I'm a whole weight class above him, and I know what he brings. Jose Burton is a taller, longer fighter, and I think that plays into Dan's style. If he wants to box you inside, he's coming inside. And it's going to be extremely difficult to keep him off. But again, Jose Burton has kind of got that dark horse thing about him. There was talks of him the last few years ago being like one of the best in the country.
And it was a while ago, but what Buglioni did to him.
Yes, true.
So you would like to think that he's come on since then.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my kind of lasting memory of Jose Burton is him getting steamrolled by Buglioni, and it was a while ago though. Yeah, it was a while ago.
He did. And Buglioni is good, but Dan Aziz is just as capable as doing that very same thing. It'll
be good for Dan to get his to get
his name out there
across,
and to get some. Yeah.
Again, like it's a tough game. He's one of them fighters that have been out there fighting small hall shows. He's got his face about on the odd card here and there.
But this will cement him properly domestically.
Yeah, you know, and it's probably about time that.
And them other guys can't really avoid. Avoid
and
him if they are avoiding him.
If you're good and you're not carrying so much weight in terms of your game, it's like it's difficult to break through that kind of ceiling of just fighting nobody, not getting the right opportunity to.
Who would you like to see him fight out of those names? So we've got Craig Richards, Joshua Buatsi, Anthony Yarde, Lyndon Arthur, and Dan Aziz, and Jose Byrne. Who would you like to see Dan fight? I'm going to give you all those names, and I want to see.
I think Dan Aziz against Buatsi.
Yeah, I think that's
see them two charge at each other in the ring
because they will.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Like, I think that would be a very solid like matchup. You know?
I know that I've heard that they've sparred a lot. And you know what? They're both very tough.
Yarde and Lyndon, they all seem like they're friends.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like,
well, it's only because
that's going to stop them from fighting, but it's
only because, you know, they're all from, I mean, what? Buatsi is from Croydon. Dan Aziz is from Lewisham. Craig is from Sydenham. You know, Yarde is only from East. So,
no.
Yeah. Who do you think wins that then?
What's that?
Buatsi and Dan.
I think Buatsi.
Just hypothetically speaking.
I ain't seen enough of Dan to kind of.
I have too much.
Yeah, you sparred him, but I don't know. I don't feel like Buatsi's kind of hit the trajectory that he hasn't
taken off like he should have.
Taken off like he should have. Whether that's through opportunities, but there's been a few moments in fights just gone by like where I've felt like he's looked a bit. Not.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah, do you know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah. Just moving on before we finish up. A fight that is actually going to happen, and we'll catch up with this on our next podcast. But Sean Porter and Terence Crawford, and just the whole welterweight division at the moment. What are you saying?
Yeah, I think it's a fight off the face of it.
Yeah,
Crawford should win it, but you got to take into consideration Crawford's a small welterweight.
Yeah,
Porter is an animal of a welterweight.
Yeah, he is. He used to fight at cruiserweight in the amateur.
Guy, whether he wins or loses, he's leaving his mark on the other fighter.
I think no one has beat him unanimous decision.
I mean, the guys that he's fought as well. His resume is one of the best out there.
Yeah, who's he got? So he's got.
He fought Ugas recently. He fought that guy Formella and went 12 rounds with him.
Yeah,
I was a bit surprised by when I see how Formella boxed Conor Benn.
Yeah.
But he's got
Danny Garcia, Keith Thurman. So Keith Thurman lost, Errol Spence lost, but very close fights.
Yeah.
I think I had him up in the Errol Spence one before he got dropped. Keith Thurman, I do think he lost that, but that was a really good Thurman. He beat Danny.
Kell Brook he lost to.
Kell Brook, but he's been in there. But again, close fight.
I mean, that's credit to Kell Brook to come through.
Yeah. But look how, and I know time has changed, but time has really changed because Kell Brook's had some hard fights. But look how Terence dealt with Kell Brook.
Yeah. But
he dealt with him, man.
He went 12 rounds with Errol Spence.
And who did? Kell?
No, Porter.
Okay, right. Sorry, yeah.
And to rush forward on a
puncher, like, a boxer
Errol
puncher.
Spence, massive welterweight.
Yeah. Just
tells me that Crawford ain't gonna have the power if he's anything like that, and it was a while ago, but if he's anything like that, Crawford might not have the power. He might have the skill, but
this is what I'm saying. Does he have? Errol Spence was there to be found somewhat when Sean Porter went to find Crawford. Crawford is slick.
He's like one of the
slick,
greats
man.
as well. He just hasn't had his props, in my opinion.
But you know what? Crawford is one of them guys that I don't know who to compare him to, but you can see he's good, but like. Considering what he's achieved, I just haven't seen.
I think it's.
I just haven't seen. I mean, I see him get rocked by Gamboa. Someone did knock him down. I can't remember who it was, but I heard that the other day. I didn't actually know that he had been knocked down. I'm hoping that's correct. But he got rocked by Gamboa, and Gamboa was a 126 or 122 pounder.
Small, innit?
Small man. But them boys over there, Shakur Stevenson, Terence Crawford. It's just. I don't know.
It's different level. They got Terence has got different level of ability.
And I don't even think we've seen it.
And we haven't seen it because he hasn't had the guys
Had to bring it out of him.
necessarily.
Yeah.
If he comes through this Porter fight and wins it,
Yeah.
then I think that's really him. Obviously, it depends what Porter turns up because Porter's getting on now.
Yeah,
He's been through some tough fights.
Yeah.
But if it's the same old Sean Porter and Terence Crawford goes and wins the fight,
But the issue is, go on, finish your
you've
sentence.
got to respect. You've got to give Crawford.
But more than giving him or respecting him, it's like if he beats him, if he stops him, no one has stopped him.
Yeah.
No one has beat him clearly, you know. It's always been split decision. Split decision is like it's anyone's game.
Yeah.
And for some reason, I feel like Terence is gonna beat him easy. Like the confidence I'm seeing in the camp, like the confidence I'm seeing from Terence, like just the seriousness in the camp of Porter. Like they were sparring Gervonta Davis the other day, and he's quite big at the moment. Like I think they know what they're getting into, and I feel like it could be quite embarrassing for Porter if he loses.
Well, I mean, look, no, there's no question that Terence has the tools to beat anyone, really.
Yeah.
I would just like to see Sean Porter go and he will
and do his thing.
Stick it on him.
Yeah, he will.
He will
stick
it on him and
just see how he adapts.
We can all get a boxing lesson on how to beat someone,
how to deal with it.
Yeah.
But can he do that though? Let's not to confuse the fans or make it too technical. Terence is a switch hitter. He's a hell of a southpaw. You know, it's not so easy to stick it on a southpaw when they're going the other way.
Yeah.
You know, if he chooses to do half of the fight in one stance after the fight, if he just switches during the fight, is Porter going to be able to, have that same success? Like everyone else was there to somewhat be hit. Keith Thurman, he's not. He hits hard, but he's an aggressive counterpuncher. He's there.
Yeah.
Terence might not be there. He might just leave Sean chasing shadows.
But Sean's got the engine.
Yeah, Sean's got the engine.
When I go back to the Errol Spence fight, it's like
with Porter.
With Porter,
yeah,
it's like Errol Spence hits hard, bro. And Sean Porter just went after him.
Yeah.
He just went after him. So
yeah,
would the movement necessarily bother Porter? He will get to him eventually.
Yeah,
he will get to him eventually.
Yeah, no, he will.
You know,
but even in the Spence fight,
and when
he got knocked down, and then in the 12th round, he did slow up a bit.
Yeah.
But again, Errol is a puncher.
Big welterweight. But nah, man, the welterweight scene, to be fair, has been it's been very strong for a while.
Yeah, for years and years. Years and years.
Them ones that have sort of been at the top now. Obviously, Pacquiao's gone.
Floyd's
Thurman's
gone.
kind of.
Yeah. I think Thurman's injuries and just...
Sean Porter's coming to the end.
Yeah. What's this new guy? Ennis?
Oh, Jaron Ennis. Yeah.
I haven't watched much of him, but I've heard he looks serious.
Real deal, yeah, man. Like, very accurate shot.
Yeah. I haven't seen much of him.
But again, I don't know if he will get a shot at these guys, you know. They might be...
I want to see... I think we need to see Terence and Spence.
Yeah. If that's going to ever happen.
If he wins... I don't see it not happening. That's a fight that they could unify, or even if they had mandatories, they'll drop their belts and they could fight each other. I don't. Yeah, I really don't. I can't pick a winner with that one. Errol's definitely the bigger, stronger guy, but Errol's got enough boxing ability. Like he's got good fundamentals. Errol Spence.
Yeah.
He's not going to be easy to pick apart. He's solid.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
So I'd like to see that fight, but.
Yeah, man. That they should have fought a long time ago.
Yeah,
to be honest.
I'll be sad if that fight didn't happen.
But at the same time, it's not. You want to see it happen just because they're the best two. At the moment.
Yeah.
But I don't think in 10 years we'll be looking back like, oh.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean.
Not like
hasn't got like Floyd and
Riddick Bowe and Lennox, for example.
Yeah.
Yeah, it won't be one of them ones, but yeah, it'll be a shame not to see them get it on, man.
And just before we finish, last topic, just going to briefly go over it. Canelo and Caleb. Thoughts on the fight going into it? Did you buy into? Caleb is a 6'1".
Big super middle.
You know what I mean? And he's got the same kind of, movement and skill as a Floyd Mayweather who gave Canelo problems, as a Lara who gave Canelo problems. I think. How did you see the fight going?
I mean, I kind of knew you you can't bet against Canelo these days, man.
Yeah, not at the moment.
I've done it twice now, I think, and one of them was with Billy Joe.
Oh yeah, he's another mover. Yeah,
but it's like,
is this so? There's no one out there.
I think Canelo gets boxed. When he's come up against good boxers, often like Amir Khan, for example, which was like a train wreck of a decision to even get in there with him.
Yeah,
but Amir Khan was up on the cards.
Yeah. But it's a 12-round fight.
It's a 12-round fight, and I sometimes when people say, Caleb was boxing it, and Caleb's a very good boxer. Was Canelo just not respecting him and just looking for the shot?
Yeah,
but yeah, Canelo's just a force to be reckoned. Like it's funny because right now he looks amazing, but I think I was talking to the other day, maybe in other eras he wouldn't have been so formidable.
Yeah,
he would have been up there, but not as formidable. But right now, with the current crop of fighters that we've got,
there's no one.
Unless he goes up to light heavyweight again, I don't think he's going to be tested.
But if he puts himself at light heavyweight, I think he's forcing it in the sense of he's putting himself at too much of a disadvantage.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? A massive, the Benavidez guy,
but
not Benavidez.
He collapsed Callum Smith,
and
Callum Smith is a big light heavy. You know?
No, it is Benavidez, isn't it?
Yeah,
what do you think about Benavidez and Canelo? You know what? I feel like I've never seen Benavidez even get hit though.
Yeah.
Not on a skill thing, but I just don't think he's had the opponents. But he must be like what, 6'3", 6'2"? He's massive.
Yeah,
he's huge. But I think he gives him his best fight. Charlo, you can forget about it. He's there to be hit. He hasn't got the skill, hasn't got the slickness or the pop to keep him off.
I just think Canelo, he's looking like a more the ability to take shots.
Yeah. And ride shots.
He was
as
showing
well.
it from when he fought Triple G.
Yeah.
He can ride shots. He just doesn't. He don't go in there and show anyone respect.
Yeah. Yeah.
Literally. So
No, for real.
I just think he beats
the crop at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah. Light heavyweight, he'll be tested. There's obviously bigger, stronger guys. Obviously, when he went up to fight Kovalev was on his way out. And Callum Smith really should have done better.
But Callum Smith, they're not. You need like a Triple G in his prime.
Yeah.
You know, we spoke about the other middleweights or super middleweights of the Marvin Haglers and the Tommy Hearns or the
Roy Jones.
Yeah, the Roy Jones is like we need those guys. But okay, cool. I think that's it for this one.
Yeah, man.
Thank you for tuning in, everyone at home. All Things Boxing. We'll be creating an Instagram and a YouTube, I'm guessing. Yeah. And thank you. Like, subscribe, comment, share. Any topics you got for us, just let us know, yeah? All right, peace.